This will be my coolant system rubric. You can see it's a Ford and it has a camshaft driven water pump. Look at that thing. And then here's the in for the water pump. So the coolant gets brought into the water pump through there, into the back of the water pump. You can't see it. There it is. The water pump. Water pump then uses centrifugal force to push the water out. And there's the thermostat housing. Thermostat housing, if it's cold, we're going out there to this Y, which is connected to the upper hose, and then out there, and this plastic piece there that will distribute the coolant to the rest of the engine. It's connected to different passages under there, some passages coming into the front V and some going to the back of the V. There's also this coolant line right there, which is a heater hose. Now that will come around the back of the engine into the firewall there, which is where our heater core is. Now that's the in, that would be the out. It comes back out around once it's provided us good heat. It'll come back to the water pump. Now that's all the coolant lines this car has, other than the overflow, which this car does not have a rad cap. It uses the cap on the reservoir or the overflow tank, whichever you want to call it, to seal the system and provide pressure. Now the coolant temperature sensor is that connector right there. It's on the back of the engine in one of the coolant passages. Now this temp sensor or temperature switch will send signal or ground to the cooling fan relay, which is right here attached to the radiator, or to the fan shroud I should say. Now the radiator will get the hot water coolant. Once the thermostat opens, the water will come into the top of the radiator through the upper radiator hose right there. It'd be the bottom big thick one, and then this is a side to side radiator, so the coolant will go side to side to the other side, from one holding tank on the right side of the car to the holding tank on the left side of the car, go through all the fins, and we'll use radiation, because it's a radiator, to dissipate heat to the surrounding areas, to the surrounding air around the radiator, where coolant is then pushed out of the radiator back to the thermostat. Now, the weak points in this system usually is the seals on the coolant, on the water pump, and all these plastic parts. All this plastic, which with all the heat cycles is going to become very hard, very brittle, and it will crack and leak. The thermostat's right there. Another point is going to leak will be the tanks on the side where it's crimped right here. Those where it's the aluminum is crimped to the plastic. Those come loose, get leaks. The water pump leaks, the plastics all leak, and if anything should hit the radiator in one of the fins, in one of the pipes going across, it will leak. Now if the thermostat down here, if that thermostat is seized closed, you got 5 minutes in the warm weather, maybe 10-15 if it's cold out before this car is going to overheat. It will keep overheating until that thermostat is replaced or fixed. Usually just replace it. Now if it's partly open, you'll be able to drive it around. It's not going to overheat, but if you try to tow anything or go up a hill, you are in for a bad time. It will overheat. As soon as you put load on it, it will overheat. Now if it's fully open, the thermostat is fully open, it will never heat up. You won't have heat inside. It'll take forever to heat up, and it won't heat up. And that never reaching optimal temperature will result in sludge in the engine because you never get to optimal running temperatures. Now the water pump on a Volkswagen, the reason that those fail is that the impeller inside the water fan is made of plastic. The shaft that goes in is made of metal. So the plastic, after heat cycle after heat cycle after heat cycle, will overheat, crack, and come off. So when this spins, it's no longer attached. So as the shaft spins, you can see it spinning on the outside, but on the inside, the impeller has broken off. So there's no flow of coolant. I would bypass the relay, which is with the ignition on. You apply straight ground. Sorry, you would put power to the 87 terminal on the back of this relay right here. But because the connector is stuck, I don't want to risk breaking the connector. So the connector, this one, the relay will have 5 pins at the bottom. 30 will be fused, comes straight from battery positive. 85 will be coming from the temperature switch, which will ground it. Once the coolant reaches optimal temperature, it will ground it, or if it gets too hot, when it gets too hot, that's when it will ground it, turn on the fans. The 85, that's 85. 86 will be power from the ignition switch. And then 87 and 87A would be the fan positives. And that would be my rubric.